Hello, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me. Um, okay. Thank you all for joining us today as we celebrate the World IP Day. Um, my name is Juliana, and I'm excited to be hosting this event today. This is happening as a result of a friend reaching out to me, and he was saying that it'd be very important for us to hold this. Thank you very much, Ma, for joining us, Mrs. Eno. Um, thank you so much. Thank you, and we'll be starting immediately. So, I'll be reading out who we are as a company, and then we'll just start um, immediately. Okay. Um, so thank you all for joining us once more. My name is Juliana Imam, and I'm the founder of Gypsy, which is Juliana Imam Intellectual Property and Creative Consult. One of it. So we have two programs that we hold, and one is IP Catch Up, where we get to discuss with different practitioners and see how those different areas intersect with intellectual property. And the second is um, Gypsy Mentorship and Internship Program, and that's a program where we train people who are interested in intellectual property. For today, we'll be having this program under both umbrellas to celebrate the World IP Day. So for the speakers that we have today, we have four speakers, and I will be reading out their profile once it's time for them to make their presentation. So I'll be starting with Mrs. Eno since she's here already, and she'll be giving us the perspective of the government. So she's with the Ministry of Trade. She would be giving us her perspective. Um, Please hold on while I get her profile. Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm sure we can see it. Okay, so Eno Obong Usien is a principal assistant registrar of trademarks, patents, and designs, Commercial Law Department, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, with over 12 years of experience in the field of intellectual property rights with focus on patents, industrial design, and trademark. She has functioned in various capacities in the trademarks, patent, and design registry and gained practical experience handling issues bordering on these subjects. She has facilitated various workshops and seminars at the grassroots levels to ensure that the co-investing communities are well informed and meaningfully engaged on issues bordering on their intellectual property rights. Some of these workshops had featured strategic collaboration with the World Intellectual Property Organization and the United States Patent Office. She has served as an expert member of the Nigerian delegation to the WIPO at the General Assembly at various times and on standing committees on the law of trademarks, industrial design, geographical indication. Presently, she serves as an expert member of the Nigerian delegation to the World Intellectual Property Organization Standing Committee on the Law of Patents. She has also served as a lecturer at the World Intellectual Property Academy, Geneva. She holds an LLB from University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, a master's degree in law and policy from the University of Jos, and a master's degree in intellectual property from the University of Turin in conjunction with the World Intellectual Property Academy. She has also trained with the United States Patent and Trademark Office and the Norway Patent and Trademark Academy. She's an alumni of the International Visitor Leadership Program, IVLP USA. As part of her passion for intellectual property, she works with Eco-Inventing Community on the registration of protection protection of their intellectual property rights. So we welcome you, Ma, to take us on intellectual property as it relates to where you work and relating it to the theme for this year, which is taking your ideas to the market. So you're welcome, Ma. Okay, please, you can unmute yourself. Okay. Sorry, please. We are still not hearing you. Sorry about that. Okay, yes. So you can go
Are
on
you
now.
hearing me now?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, in line with the theme of today's meeting, that's taking your ideas to the market. I would say for the SMEs, the idea is seen as a very important tool because it is what most times determines how innovative an SME or a business owner can be in the market. And once the business owner is able to remain innovative in the market, is able to also gain more consumers while also retaining their existing consumers. So it's really a very important tool to the SMEs. However, some of these ideas get to be infringed very easily because most times the business owner does not know that he has an obligation to protect his idea against infringement. These ideas are what sometimes we call intellectual creation, which brings us to intellectual property. Now, these intellectual creations, when they are being protected by law, they are known as intellectual property rights. It is said that intellectual property is a creation of the human mind, and it ranges from their inventions, literary and artistic works, designs, symbols, names, and images. Speaking about intellectual property, like most of us may know, is broadly divided into two broad categories. We have the industrial property on one hand, and then we have the copyrights on the other hand. The industrial property is further divided into three other categories. That is the trademarks, patents, and industrial design. While most SMEs seems to know more about trademarks, most times patents and industrial design rights is oftentimes overlooked. So if we are to begin with trademarks in a nutshell, trademarks, we know, is said to be a graphical representation that distinguishes the goods and services of one business from the other. And it also serves as an identifier of source of the goods and services. We have a lot of trademarks in the market. While most of them are registered, some are not registered. Sometimes it's surprising to see that some business owners tend to rush more to register their company names without registering their trademark. And most times, by the time they come to register their trademark with the trademark office, they discover that somebody else is legally using that name. And so they have no option but to look for another trademark. So let's look at some basic features of trademarks. Trademarks are said to be territorial rights, meaning that you cannot have a trademark in Nigeria, for instance, and then hope to go and enforce it in maybe South Africa. Trademarks are seen as federal rights. They are rights granted by the federal government. And in case of infringement, Pauline, that is now generic. We have videotape that was a popular trademark before, but it's now generic. We also have sellotape and escalators that are now generic in the market. Trademarks are transferable rights. Sorry, am I being heard?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Trademarks are transferable rights, meaning that you can mortgage it, you can license it, you can even put it as part and parcel of your last will and testament. Trademarks are different from your business name. Although your business name with time by reason of use can also become your trademark. For instance, Coca-Cola Company Limited, they have an array of trademarks. We have Sprite, Fanta, Coke, and different other trade names they're using to float their products. Though Coca-Cola is a company name, however, with time, it has now become a trademark. Unlike company registration, trademark has 45 different classes and registration is class specific. Meaning that if you have a registration in class 1 for chemical, for a particular product, somebody else can still use the same name in another class, provided that you do not register your name or your trademark in that particular class. You do not need to register your trademark to use them. However, it is strongly recommended that you register your trademark, because if there's an infringement, that's just the only way you can get a good valid reason to show that this trademark actually belongs to you. So why are trademarks important? Trademarks are important because they are seen to be effective communication tools. For instance, what if I told you that my colleague is in Harvard? You would know I'm talking about a school. And if perhaps your friend tells you that he's going to buy you a Toyota, you'll definitely know that he's talking about a car, even without him mentioning a car. Harvard and Toyota are popular trademarks. There are also some people that if they go to the market to buy a particular product, let me say they go to buy maybe milk. If not Peak, they will not buy any other milk. That is because with time, they have been accustomed to that particular trademark. Trademark make it easy for your consumers to find you in the market. Let's say you are going to an electronic store to buy an electric fan. There are many electric fans with different brands. You would easily recognize a Sony electric fan because the trademark will be boldly appended on it. Trademark also allows businesses to effectively utilize the internet and social media, and also helps them to easily be identified on social media. For instance, anyone going to look for a particular product will easily just Google the trademark. Trademarks are valuable assets because as your company grows, so too your trademark becomes stronger and can even grow into other businesses. For instance, Gucci used to be a popular trademark strictly known for perfumes, but with time we started seeing them in the fashion industry. They're now producing shoes and even clothes with the same name, Gucci. Trademark also make it easier for you to hire high caliber staff. Most people are very attracted to big companies that have reputable trademarks. So when an advert comes, they're very likely to sign up, not even because of the pay, but because of the pride of working with that particular company. Say for instance, ShopRite. There are people that will do anything just to work with ShopRite because they like the brand, they like the name ShopRite. Let's go to industrial design, which is also an aspect of intellectual property. Industrial design is said to be a right granted by the government to the aesthetic features of products. It could be perhaps your packaging that stands out in the market. You are encouraged to register it because if you don't register it, somebody else will. And the law recognizes that there are two types of creators. We have the true creators, and we also have the statutory creator. The true creator is a true creator just as the name implies. But however, the law recognizes the statutory creator, The statutory creator is the person, whether or not he's the true creator, is the first person to come to law to register the product. And so the person has a right that is recognized by law over the true creator.
Okay, ma'am.
If you allow me to share, I would want to share my screen with you to let you know some of the products that we have been able to register as design in our office, and also some strange cases of infringement. So I don't know if I can share my screen. Can I?
Please hold on. Let me check that. Okay, you can try that now.
Okay. Okay. I hope it's visible now.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So these are some products we've registered their design in our office. And I would like to also share with you some strange cases of infringement that we have seen in our office. We had a case where somebody attempted to register Fortis, a design for Fortis. And when you look at it, it looks like a new design, but when you look at it critically, you will see that it's exactly the same as that of Kiwi. So what he probably just did, he just removed the name Kiwi and then appended his own name Fortis. We also had a case whereby someone attempted to register a design for Carrier. And on the surface, it looks like a new design, but when you look at it critically, you see that it's trying to infringe on a forged design. We also have the case of a textile design, and this is the infringement that we noticed. Someone wanted to register a carpet-like design in black, whereas something like this in red was already in existence. So I'm just trying to show you how important it is for you to get the design of your product registered as well. Lastly, we have what we know as the patent rights. The patent rights mostly is a right that government grants to inventors, those that have manufactured something new, something that has never been in existence. And this right is sometimes seen as a negative right because it gives the applicant or the owner of the rights, that's the patentee, the right to exclude every other person from his invention, but however, does not give him the right to go ahead and practice the invention. The right is given to the patentee, that's the inventor, for a limited period of time of 20 years. So within these 20 years, governments believe that the inventor would be able to recover the cost of his investment through maintaining a monopoly in the market. He'll be able to license his product, he'll be able to assign it, or do whatever he wants to do with the product in exchange for some amount of money. This right is given also in return for disclosure. The inventor has to disclose everything about the product to the government. Thank you very much. I'd like to stop here.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. So I would just like to ask one question. How has the registration been like over the years? Can you say that the number of registrations is actually increasing, or will you say that it's decreasing? And how was it during the COVID-19 period, as during the lockdown?
Okay, during the lockdown, we didn't have much registration because even government offices were closed. But after the lockdown, we experienced quite a lot of registration, especially as it has to do with trademarks. We had a lot of registration coming from that side. But for the patents and the design, we are still trying to get our inventors, the inventing community, to register their patents and their design. And part of why they are skeptical to register their patents, they always say they don't want their invention to be, disclosed to other people. But the truth is, if your invention is not disclosed, how will other people know what you have done in order to come and request for licensing and assignments from you, which you will ultimately make money from? So that has been the issue in the office.
Thank you very much, Ma. So please, if you have any questions, just put it down in the Q&A section or at the chat box, and we'll be reading out the question after the presentations. So we'll be calling on our next speaker. Thank you very much, Ma. So we'll be moving forward and we'll be calling on our next speaker. Please hold on so I can get his bio. So our next speaker is Mohammed Ibrahim Jega. He's a serial tech entrepreneur and tech-savvy marketer. He's a blockchain enthusiast, fintech expert, startup mentor, and an international speaker. He is the co-founder of Dominion Blockchain Solutions, which is a distributed ledger technology company providing blockchain as a service solution. It was established to assist government and companies to integrate blockchain into their operations. Jega is one of the 30 nominees of Abuja-based African Digital Voices, inducted into African Digital Voices Network. He's an official member of the Forbes Council, director at Silicon Valley-based Founder Institute, chairman board, Agritech Hub, and he's also the international partner, Nigeria, to the World Business Angels Investment Forum, WBF. Then among other membership of international organizations, Mohammed is a board member, Young Innovators Nigeria, Nigeria Association of Computing Students, KIC City Ambassador, Cybersecurity Challenges Nigeria, Challenge Nigeria, Regional Ambassador, Code First International. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us today. So I'll be unmuting you. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Juliana. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here to celebrate the World IP Day with you all. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohammed Jega. I'll be just sharing some few minutes with you because sincerely, I had to squeeze myself in here to come and celebrate this very important day with you. Intellectual property should be seen as a power tool for economic growth instead of an obscure legal concept from my perspective, and because protection of IP rights play an important role in inducing technology change and facilitating economic growth, because the value of IP is often not adequately appreciated, and its potential for providing opportunities for the future profit is widely underestimated by SMEs. However, when IP is legally protected, there's a demand for the IP protected products and its services in the marketplace, because IP can become a valuable business asset based on new products, brands, and creative designs appear mostly daily on the market, and as a result of the conscience of human innovation and creativity. We all know SMEs are often driving force behind such innovations, but their innovation and creativity, their innovation and creative capacity is not always fully exploited, because many SMEs are not aware of the intellectual property system for their protection. They are not aware of the intellectual property system their protection can provide for their inventions and brands, as well as their design. Because if they felt unprotected, a good invention or creation may be lost to larger competitors that are in a better position to commercialize the products or service at more affordable price, leaving the original inventor or the creator without any financial benefits or reward. So what I'm saying here is adequate protection of companies' IP is a crucial step in deterring potential infringement and in turning ideas into business assets with a real market value. IP system enables companies to IP system enable companies to profit from their innovative capacity and
Okay, I think his network is having some issues. So maybe we'll just wait for a second and see. Okay, so I think it's better now.
Okay. Its potential for providing opportunities for future profits is widely underestimated by the IPs itself, because that has been, IP can generate income for SME through one, licensing, two, sale or commercialization of the IP products, or services that may significantly improve SME's market share or raise its profit margin. Furthermore, I believe IP rights may enhance the value or worth of SMEs in the eyes of investors and financial institutions. Because in the event of sale of or merger or acquisition, IP assets may significantly raise the value of the enterprise. Because traditionally, physical assets have been responsible for the bulk of the value of a business entity and largely competitiveness of an enterprise in the market. These scenarios have changed a result of the evolution of information technologies, tangible assets ranging from human capital, such as how to ideas, to brand, to designs, and other emerging assets, because today, because today innovative capacity has become more valuable than physical assets. For most SMEs, marketing products and services are a major challenge, but marketing strategy should establish a clear link between your products or services and your SME. As the producer or as a provider of such products and services, that is to say, customers should be able to distinguish at a glance between your product or services and those of your competitors associated with them with certain desired qualities based on your IP, and when efficiently used, is an important tool in creating an image for your business in the minds of current and potential customers. This can be used in positioning your business in the market IP rights, combined with marketing tools such as advertisements and sales promotion activities. These are all crucial for differentiating your products and services, making them easily recognized and diversifying your marketing strategy to various target groups, which includes marketing the products or services in foreign countries. Because this is very critical in our day-to-day life, sharing this very scenario, which has been part and parcel of some of the complexities a lot of SMEs and startup face in the IP in managing their intellectual property. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you very much, sir. So I'll just follow up with one question. So you're the founder of Startup Arewa. How have you seen the registrations there? So on a scale of 1 to 10, will you say that the people that have come under your umbrella have been protecting their IP, or will you say that they are not so knowledgeable about it? Because we are trying to weigh how the startup community is knows about IP and are actually registering their IPs. So I would just unmute you.
Thank you, Juliana. I'm happy with this interesting question, but you have been part of this journey of sensitizing the startup community, because I remember you featured on the Startup webinars on 2 occasions trying to educate, sensitize the startups by letting them know what intellectual property is all about, its implications, how porous their SMEs, their businesses are without protecting their intellectual property. And this has yielded a lot of tremendous, I think, progress for, let's say, on a scale of 1 to 10, we're on 5.
Wow,
Let me
that's
be very
good.
That's fair enough, because I believe we still have to do more, because a lot of businesses, I understand a lot of startups are not even registered. A lot of them build products, they innovate. They are very passionate about innovating and disrupting, but they don't take steps in protecting, in managing their business. They don't sit down to learn the real scope of managing business, ideation, how product evaluation, how they can be able to come up with their MVPs. They are so in a hurry to go out there to launch out. But I believe part of the responsibility we've taken upon ourselves to see how we can be able to educate and sensitize SMEs and startups, because they are the driving force behind innovation. And their innovative and creative capacity is not always fully exploited, as many SMEs are not aware of the IP system or the protection it can provide for their inventions, brands, and design. That is why I mentioned earlier, they are left unprotected. A good invention or creation may be lost to a later competitors because they are in a better position to commercialize their products or service at more affordable price. So it's part of our mandate, Barrister Juliana, to us to continue that advocacy that we're doing in sensitizing this startup and SMEs for them to know how to protect their IP.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for giving us the update on the state of the SMEs, especially those in the northern region, which are under your care. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry I have to leave now. I'm so sorry. Yes, I have number 5, please. Thank you so much. I'm always available to be part of future events as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, well, bye, sir. So we'll be calling on our next speaker for today. Saadatu is the managing partner of Hamu Legal, an innovative multidisciplinary firm based in Abuja. Her practice is focused on the intersection of law, policy, and emerging technology with an in-depth understanding of the Nigerian legal system. She has advised clients across various industries, banking, power, project financing. Saadatu has cutting-edge understanding of regulatory practice requirements for implementing and operating data security and privacy regulations of companies under multi-jurisdictional regimes and its impact on national security. In recognition of her desire for change and public impact, Saadatu was nominated as a global shaper with the Abuja hub of the Global Shapers Community. The Global Shapers Community is the youngest arm of the World Economic Forum. Hi, Saadatu. You're welcome. So I'll just be unmuting you right now.
Thank you so much, Juliana, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and well done on all the amazing work you and the team at JIIP are doing with respect to further making us understand the value of intellectual property in our businesses. I think Eno and Ibrahim have provided a fantastic overview in terms of the legal requirements for IP protection, as well as the business needs for it. So I think I will, on an overall perspective, maybe highlight key issues that I feel entrepreneurs and SMEs should have into consideration as they're going into the market, which in the process where certain IP issues would also intersect and emerge. So I would focus on, I think, about 4 issues. And I think the first one, I would start with structuring our businesses. More often than not, when SMEs develop an idea or go into market, it's usually me and Juliana, or Juliana and her other friend. But very often we rarely sit down and structure how this relationship is going to evolve, or the dynamics of that relationship. Do we all have equal ownership of the business? Or if I own 20% or 30% of the business, is my shares going to be vested? That is subject to me continuously participating in the business. How much time am I required to commit to the business? How much salary will I be paid, or wouldn't I even be paid at all? The business would rely on my sweat equity. If we're developing an app or other things, does the intellectual property for that thing we're developing reside with me as an individual, or it resides in the company? I think from Eno's explanation and from Ibrahim's explanation, we can see that it is very, very important as you're developing your ideas, as you're beginning to come up with the next Facebook, the next Pinterest, or the next Instagram, you're able to ensure that whatever you're co-developing with your founders, it's adequately protected in the name of the business, and you also structure the business relationship amongst each other. So that's on one aspect. And on the second aspect, even choosing the type of entity you want to use to go into this business. There are several types of businesses we can go into, which is not in for this topic, but I think it's important to decide, do I want it to be a sole proprietorship? Do I want it to be a partnership? Or do I want it to be a limited liability company? Because each of these companies have their own considerations as well. But more often than not, the option startups usually choose or opt for is the limited liability company, because this positions them better for additional funding from investors and inviting other shareholders to come in. Hopefully I can invite Startup Ariwa to come and invest when I make my own development. And then finally, if I'm going to register or incorporate the company, I would have to choose a name that I'm going to use. And I think Eno has highlighted, more often than not, people just decide to register the name at the CAC and do not care to do a search at the trademark registry to see even if that name will be infringing on another business owner's intellectual property right. So as you begin to, as you develop your idea, as you begin to jump from being an idea to being an incorporated entity, beyond just doing your CAC registration, it is very, very critical for you to also do a trademark search at the trademark patent and design registry. But beyond that, because businesses are very, very global now and everything happens online, so it will be useful for you to also carry out a domain search. I'm sure we all want to have a website for our business, but very often you will find at the time you come to open, you've registered the name, you've found the trademark, but at the time you come to register, to open that website, you would find that the name is unavailable. So it will be useful for you to also do general searches on domain registries to find out, okay, is this name available? And there are several cases of companies, going through domain name disputes. For it, I think at some point, Apple challenged someone who registered iPhone5.com. And they successfully, luckily won the case anyway. But I think there is a clear framework for domain name disputes. That's if you cannot afford to pay the thousands of dollars, maybe the domain name holder is claiming to. So look into how you can be able to use the established framework to resolve any domain name dispute you may have, or if some other person is infringing on your own domain name that you've already gained, perhaps global recognition for it. And also as a business, initially it may just be me and you, or you and your co-founder. The dynamics are always different, but as the business grows, as it continues to evolve, it is always necessary to have more people join the team, either as employees or as co-founders. an important aspect many entrepreneurs forget to do is to have an employee contract with their staff when they engage them. The employee contract ensures that you are able to protect the company's intellectual property, because at any time, the staff may decide to go. And by the time they go with all of the information that you've already shared with them, which may be also detrimental to your business. And IP doesn't just end in terms of just your name or your brand colors, amongst other things. It goes to your website, the software codes you are developing, or whatever app you are developing, amongst other things. And then another thing startups usually often fail to consider is, what are the regulations towards this business that I want to operate in? Because if you don't look at the legal considerations in operating in the sector or space you're going to be in, whether you have a website, whether you're registered in CAC, whether you've done your intellectual property search, as long as you're not complying with other legal obligations that are required for the space that you're operating, you will be infringing, not necessarily infringing, you'll be breaking other laws, or your business would be known to be one that is operating outside within the confines of the law. But overall, I think what is most critical startups should do is to engage with lawyers as they begin to move to market, because startups are moving at a pace where ideas grow rapidly, not just in terms of funding, but there is critical need for you to structure every aspect of your business. As I've highlighted, structuring the ownership of your business, choosing the right type of entity, choosing the domain name that doesn't infringe on anybody's intellectual property rights, having a name for your business that doesn't infringe on your right, ensuring that there are proper contracts between your employees, your subcontractors, or even between you as co-founders that continuously protects the intellectual property of the company, and then complying with whatever existing regulation there is for the sector you want to operate in.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sadatu. Thank you for taking us through the journey of how to register and then moving into protecting your IP. So I'll just ask you a question. Okay, so as a lawyer, how many, so on a scale of 1 to 10, when people come to you and they're interested to register their companies, how many of them are already knowledgeable about IP and say, Sadatu, register my company, and then register my trademark, my copyright, my patent, etc. And for those that are not knowledgeable, when you tell them about it, how many of them actually pay for that service based on your practice so far?
Okay, so in terms of the knowledge, in terms of individuals, I would put it at a scale of maybe perhaps 5. People are aware of it, but in terms of the enthusiasm and the need to go ahead and do that registration to protect their interest is not very often. But in view of our understanding of the needs for such issues, we always recommend to our clients to, in addition to registering at the CAC, also go ahead to register your trademark at the Trademark, Patent and Design Registry, and also remind them that because you've registered the name at the CAC, it doesn't mean you own the trademark, and it only protects you within Nigeria as well. The only few times you find clients or entrepreneurs become more keen on doing trademark registration is in the event that the name that they prefer is unavailable at the company's registry. So they would explore the option of doing a trademark name, so they're able to DBA, so doing business as, you know. So those are the 2 issues. So for me, I see there is an increasing level of understanding amongst entrepreneurs of the need to protect their intellectual property rights, and with the kind of work that you're doing, I would expect within the next few years and the improvements that are consistently going on at the trademark registry in terms of making things easier and more digital, we would see much more impact within that space.
Thank you very much, Sadatu. Thank you for the presentation. So I'll be moving to our next and final speaker for today. I'll just be reading out his profile. If you have any question, please feel free to put it in the chat box. Professor S. Rama Rao served as the Director of WIPO Coordination Office in New York. He has been WIPO's representative till the beginning of 2014 at the UN headquarters in New York. Currently, he's holding the GNLU Microsoft chair. Professor Rao worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of India for nearly 25 years and became its chief legal advisor. He was also the legal advisor at the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations in New York from 1995 to 1998. He was a full-time professor at the Advanced Legal Studies Department of the University of Madras from 1977 to 1982 and lectured at several universities in USA. He was an adjunct professor at Columbia University and Pace University Law School, New York. He also served as a visiting faculty member at the Indian Academy for Diplomacy and International Law, Indian Foreign Service Institute, the executive member of the Indian Society of International Law, member of SAARC Arbitration Council, member of the editorial board of Indian Journal of International Law and the Indian Year Association in Indian branch. He's enrolled as a member of the Bar of Delhi High Court and has several publications. He has been the director of intellectual property and technology boards globally. You're welcome, Rama. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Okay, so I'm sending you a request to unmute yourself. Sorry. Okay, yes. Sorry, we can't hear you, Rama. Maybe you can increase your volume. I'm not sure. Let me send you. Okay, so I'm asking you to unmute. Okay, try to speak so we'll see if we can hear you. No, we still can't hear you. I don't know. Can you try to increase your volume? Can you work on your volume? No, no. Or would you log out and log back in? Can you do that? Okay, so you can just log out and then you try to log in. No, we're still not hearing you. Okay, so hopefully by the time he comes back, we'll be hearing him. So from my experience in driving the campaign for intellectual property awareness, I see that a lot of people are now getting aware, especially like in the creative space with the issues that have come up, plagiarism issues, piracy issue, and several other issues. People are more aware. But something else that I think is also an issue is that some people that come across are actually scared to disclose their patents and their invention. Okay, welcome, Rama. So I'm sending you an invite. So I'm asking you to unmute. Maybe you try again. No, we can't hear you. can you use your phone? Are you using your phone or are you using a laptop? So maybe you can use your phone if you have the Zoom app on it. Probably it would work. Okay. Okay, so I'll send you an invite to unmute your phone. So we'll see if that will work.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I close my laptop.
You may just put that off because it's echoing. So you can, you can put the laptop off.
Hello. Is it fine?
Yes, it's fine. You just
Oh
need
my.
to space. So maybe you can put the video on your phone.
Oh, I see. I don't know how to do that because this is the first time ever I needed to use this.
Okay. Just
Okay.
click the video.
Yeah, I have done that. Sorry, I don't know this. I don't know why the laptop did not work. Good afternoon to you, and thank you, Madam Julian Imam of GIIPCC for asking me to be here this afternoon with you on the World Intellectual Property Day for 2021. I have, with a great respect, followed the previous speakers, and I think each one is from Madam to Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim Jega and Madam Sadatu Hamu Alia. Everyone is quite a specialist in one's field, taken from trademarks to founding companies to structuring the businesses. So in view of that, I would be perhaps the most non-specialist here. So what I would like to do this afternoon would be to touch the feel of World IP Day, then the SMEs, then Africa, in terms of IPs and SMEs, and today's latest stuff in the IP field in the world. And in that respect, we end up with what I would feel as intellectual property contribution and SMEs on for the development of Africa, the developing world, and the world as a whole. I think these are my benchmarks for this afternoon. Otherwise, technically, am I all right? Audible, clear?
Yes.
All right. Now, the World Intellectual Property Day was established by WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, in 1970 on April 26. That is the day when the 1967 convention establishing the World Intellectual Property Organization came into force on April 26, 1970. And this was announced in 2000. The World IP Day was established in 2000 by WIPO. And it so happens that from that day, I had already been working with WIPO on the first World Intellectual Property Day. And from then on till now, which is 2021, every World IP Day, if that is a birthday, I've been celebrating, cutting the cakes, eating or tasting, whatever. So the clarion call of the World Intellectual Property Day is essentially aimed at increasing the understanding of intellectual property and its contribution to the world. And every year, the WIPO, which is the champion of this and celebrated all over the world, selects a particular topic. And this year, we have IP and SMEs, intellectual property and small and medium enterprises, taking your ideas to market. This is the topic today. But today means like this year. It's not, today is not April 26, we are on May 6, but still every, it could be celebrated anytime around this. So we are right on the mark, not off the mark at all, with reference to celebrating World IP Day through where your platform, JIIPCC in Nigeria and others from Africa following it. And actually, Intellectual Property Day, intellectual property has not started with WIPO alone. Intellectual property started late 19th century. Patents and industrial designs or trademarks that we're speaking of were in the Paris Convention of 1883. Protection of industrial property in generic terms. Then we had the Berne on copyrights and related rights in 1886, which had established a separate organizational mechanism in each of these treaties called a bureau, which merged in 1893. And the Switzerland, Bern was the capital for them. And later it shifted along with, after the establishment of the United Nations, they shifted to Geneva, where the European United Nations office is located in Palais, in Geneva. And then WIPO itself, which gave the call for the World IP Day, as such came into existence only in 1970 from Geneva. Now, the World IP Day, the World Intellectual Property Organization, which gives this great call, has a basic objective, which is to promote the protection of intellectual property worldwide, globally. Then, of course, it administers all the intellectual property treaties, well, apart from TRIPS, which is in WTO. And SMEs, the small and medium enterprises, is today's topic, this year's topic. Like we had last year, eco-friendly energies. Before that, we had sports. A year before that, we had women and protection of intellectual property and their role. So every year we had separate items. And for this year, we have SMEs. Now, the small and medium enterprises can also have micro, macro, small enterprises, MSMEs. Although we hear only of Googles and Amazons and Apples, etc., but SMEs constitute, in terms of percentage, 90% of the world business. And they employ around 70% of the global workforce. And 40% of the national income in developing countries and including the emerging economies is facilitated by the SMEs. Now, the In fact, in Africa, 90% of the workforce employment comes from SMEs. I want to also touch later a bit on each of them. And in fact, the World Bank has been working closely on SMEs, and they find that two big problems the SMEs face in terms of the constraints are: number one, the financing; number two, in the digital economy, globalized digital economy, electricity. But the number one is the financing thing. And this is the World Bank's position. And for us in Africa, in particular, both of them are important considerations. Now, for instance, in Nigeria, the World Bank's work with reference to SMEs, access to finance, and finding innovative solutions to sourcing the capital constitute an important element. And the World Bank in Nigeria works with the Development Finance Project, supporting the establishment of the Development Bank of Nigeria, DBN, a wholesale development finance institution that provides long-term financing and partial credit guarantees to eligible financial intermediaries for on lending to MSMEs. The project also includes technical assistance to DBN, the Development Bank of Nigeria, and participating commercial banks in support of downscaling their operations, etc. As of 2019, May 2019, the DBN of Nigeria, DBN's credit line for on lending to MSMEs dispersed about $245 million in financing in this for about 50,000 yen borrowers, of which 70% are women. And this is done through 7 banks and 10 microfinance banks. The World Bank is also has also done specific things. One is supporting the women-owned SMEs in Ethiopia through a project called, this is taking beyond Nigeria to Africa. In Ethiopia, the Women Entrepreneurship Development Project, WEDP. And as of 2019, more than 14,000 women entrepreneurs took loans, and over 20,000 participated in business training programs. And at least a $30 million funds were given in terms of WDP, the Women Entrepreneurship Development Project loans. In other countries, particularly in Ethiopia, Guinea, the World Bank Group supported them, the SMEs, through leasing. About $147 million in Ethiopia, $25 million in Guinea with reference to small and medium enterprises. In considering that in the World Bank also has started measuring the Doing Business Index, quote unquote, Doing Business Index, as a survey method to follow the business developments in sub-Saharan Africa and where SMEs fit. Though SMEs constitute about 90% over in developing countries and in sub-Saharan Africa in particular, the access in terms of innovation of these to inventions, innovations, STI, science, technology, and innovation, to utilize intellectual property is still at a level where the issues of infrastructure development and human resource development in terms of those staying back in the country, not the Nigerian doctors in London and New York who asked me from 0 to 10, what is the pain scale of yours? The scale of pain of yours. It seems to be a Nigerian measurement about 0 to 10 for everything. Like you asked the questions to the previous speakers. That is what the Nigerian doctors in London and New York ask. Hey, my friend, you were fine, Rama. What is your pain level in 0 to 10? I said, I don't know 0 to 10 scale. It's a Nigerian special. Any case, the point here is the future of the world is the future of Africa. If Africa is the future, SMEs lead the way. With about 1.3 billion people in Africa and growing about 2% annually in most countries, with more than 50% of the people in many countries below the age of 25, Africa is the future. And SMEs is the way. SMEs lead the way for Africa, which is the future of the world. And it is in this context that this year's SMEs become the critical aspect. And our friends have spoken about trademarks, some examples. And like, for instance, the innovation, creativity, and commercialization of creativity is the key for the development of all developing countries, and Africa in particular. And like today, I want to congratulate Nigeria for another thing, that not only for hosting this through JIIPCC, but also because you provided the first African and woman Director General for WTO. That is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. It's congratulations to Nigeria. And another thing, as we are speaking of intellectual property, that is what the SMEs all over the world should make use of and should utilize intellectual property in Asia, Africa, in LDCs, in other developing economies, sub-Saharan Africa, or including the emerging economies. Intellectual property is the tool for your development. And intellectual property is based on the creations of mind. We can tell the human rights champions that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 27, paragraph 2, speaks about intellectual property rights. That is the first foundation stone for intellectual property since the establishment of the United Nations after the conclusion or the end of the Second World War. That's where we are. The growth, the economic development, the social development, the WIPO development agenda, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are all parts of human rights. That's where the intellectual property comes from. The intangible assets that you cannot touch, you cannot feel, have a monetary value. That is what the SMEs in developing countries and in Africa should first imbibe. The idea that we have has a value. That's not only in the advanced capitalist countries that they know, but we should know, the SME should know, and the educated intelligentsia and the intellectual property leaders in developing countries, including in Nigeria and other countries in Africa, as well as in all other developing countries, should tell the businesses. And that is where JIIPC, in my view, should also offer its services beyond, of course, mentoring. And you mentor your students and executives also to know the value of what their ideas, and then convert their ideas through the intellectual property tools such as patents, copyrights, trademarks, designs, geographical indications, and trade secrets take them, convert them into products and services. And these products and services does carry within them the intellectual property value assets through monetization. What we have to tell SMEs and what we have to offer to SMEs as people who experts in intellectual property is an indigenous Katie handicrafts woman in Ghana, for instance. We have to tell her that that is our traditional knowledge, but it is not just the beauty of the design the woman wears, but it is the market that is there for it. It's a global market. And this is, it's not just about 10 shillings. It could be like $100, $200. You have to sell it by, or 200 pounds by the London value or by the New York value of $100. So that's where we have to go in terms of using intellectual property tools by the small businesses, by the macro businesses, by the micro businesses and individuals, MISOs in Africa, in Nigeria, in all other countries in developing economies to make them, to how to take them to the market. So for me, the greatest mission, and this is what I want to share with you at this time, because you are taking the lead and it is a fantastic lead. You are holding this discussion today, Madam Juliana Imam, that intellect, science, technology, and innovation, creation, scaling up, commercializing them, providing the markets, valuing the intellectual property assets through the employment and application of intellectual property tools to, from small businesses to handicraft work, to textiles, to fashions, to all the industries, to oil industry in Nigeria. All of them is intellectual property. And agriculture, plant varieties, everything is intellectual property, and that we can use. And what we can see through your organization, JIPC, today, is that you can consult to SMEs in Nigeria, in Africa, all over, to put at their disposal, to keep at their disposal the intellectual property tools and teach the intellectual property not literate, not aware businesses to apply them and to market them globally so that they become the future billionaires. The future is Africa, and the future for Africa is SMEs, and for SMEs, JIPC now should pledge today to teach intellectual property and apply. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rama. Thank you for believing in us, and thank you also for your passion and your interest in Africa as a continent. One of the things that you mentioned was traditional knowledge and cultural expression. And I think that that's very important, because one of the things that we try to explain to our mentees is that it's very important to simplify intellectual property so that even someone who is not a literate, someone that has not gone to school, that is running a business or has a particular skill, can understand what this is and actually try to implement it and take advantage of it. So beyond copyright, trademarks and patents, which is commonly known here in Africa, there's still geographical indication, there's cultural expression, traditional knowledge, genetic and the rest. So it's very good that you have said this, and I will just open the floor to one or two people who have questions. So if you have questions, please just raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or you can ask through the chat box. If I wait for about 30 seconds and there is no indication, we'll just close this meeting. And we're actually very grateful to everyone who has actually attended and to the guest speakers that have been here. Thank you so much, Mrs. Eno. Thank you, Saadatu. Thank you, Mohammed Jega in absentia. And thank you so much, Rama, for the encouragement to even hold this event. I see Ridwan is here, Senator is here, and a lot of other people. Some of the mentees were also here. They are also here. Thank you so much. And I think that we'll be ending this year. This is 2021, and it's the World IP Day, which holds on the 26th of April. And the theme for this year is taking your ideas to the market. And it was centered, directed at the SMEs. And we believe that for an economy to grow, the power engine for this are usually the SMEs. And they achieve this through the use of their intellectual property and its monetization. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be ending the meeting now. Take care of yourself and feel free to spread the word about IP so that everyone can be a beneficiary of this great gift, because beyond us, it also moves to those after us. So from me to you, thank you and bye. Bye, Rama. Bye, Saadatu. Bye, Eno. Thank
Bye.
you.
Happy World IP Day.
Happy World IP Day. Thank you. Bye.